Hello and welcome to a new vlog and flight report. We are finally flying again. We're going from Germany to Portugal, and here on the map you can see the area we are flying in, and we are now taking a closer look at our flight route in the animation. So of course we're starting at the airport of Frankfurt, then we're heading in a western direction, flying over Luxembourg, and then heading into France, flying directly over the capital of France, of course, Paris, and then we are slowly reaching the Bay of Biscay. And then we are crossing the Bay of Biscay to reach Spain around the city of Gijón, and then we're crossing the border into Portugal and landing directly in the city of Porto, our destination. Here we can see the whole flight route, which is around 1,700 kilometers long, but we're starting a day earlier. As always, when I'm flying from Frankfurt, I'm parking at a parking garage called Platzhirsch, but this time I'm not taking the transfer directly to the airport, but instead I'm heading to the hotel, which belongs to the parking garage, and there we had dinner.
Liebe Gäste, Ihre Bestellung ist da.
Dinner there was quite nice. The service crew is supported by a robot, and as there was a big group probably unannounced today, the waiting time was a bit longer, and as a compensation I got this extra large glass of wine, which was a very nice gesture, especially because I didn't even bother the waiting time. That was still fine. The next morning I woke up very early. Around 5 o'clock I was taking the transfer to the airport. As this time I'm not flying privately, this time it is the beginning of a new cruise with Reisejung, our first cruise with the flight, and we were personally greeting all our guests at the airport, so I had to be there quite early. After check-in and the security, we're then waiting at the gate. Unfortunately, we're not flying with this beautiful Boeing 747, but of course that's also on my list to fly with a jumbo jet as soon as possible. But today we're flying with this Airbus A321neo of Lufthansa. I will tell you later on a bit more about the plane. First, let's take a look at the interior, but to be honest, on those short-haul flights, basically the interior is more or less the same with all airlines. Seat pitch is pretty tight as always on a plane. There's a table. What I really like is that there was also a power socket. After a delay of more than 1 hour, we're now finally leaving the gate, and we can now take a look at the takeoff with the original sound. So as I said, we left with a delay of more than 1 hour. That was because there was heavy fog in Porto and we didn't get the permit to leave Frankfurt. So Lufthansa let us wait at the gate, which was very nice instead of waiting in the plane. And as soon as we were in the plane, we were then leaving Frankfurt. Here we are crossing the River Rhine, which is one of the rivers we are usually having our river cruises on. But luckily this time we're flying somewhere else because there's very low water in the Rhine at the moment. Here we can see Rüdesheim and Bingen and the Middle Rhine Valley in the background, also part of a lot of our cruises, just as the River Mosel, which we can see here. Below us we can see the city of Zell and the Mosel Bend. You can clearly see how the Mosel is turning 180 degrees. Also very beautiful, but we are now going to an even more beautiful area. We're then crossing Luxembourg and flying into France. Here we've reached France at the city of Charleville-Mézières, and in the meantime a complimentary bottle of water was distributed, and we are now getting closer to the city of Paris. We're flying directly over the city center of Paris, so here below we can see Paris, and of course we can also see the river Seine, which was also already part of one of our cruises, but this time we're heading south to Portugal, to one of the most beautiful rivers in Europe. Once we're now flying over France, I can tell you a bit more about our plane. It's an Airbus A321neo of Lufthansa, was delivered in 2019, so it's almost 7 years old, and was delivered brand new to Lufthansa, and it has the registration DAIED. Here we're now leaving France, we're reaching the Bay of Biscay, we can see the Ile-Dieu below us. This coffee was not complimentary, I had to pay for it. There was also complimentary chocolate, but it's just a very small piece of chocolate. For all other items like the coffee, you need to pay extra. Here we've reached Spain, and now we're starting our descent into Portugal. As you can see, there is a thick layer of clouds. There were still the remains of the heavy fog in the morning, and soon we will see that the clouds were also very, very low, which made the approach into Porto quite spectacular. So here we are below the first layer of clouds, we can see Spain below us, and we're now getting lower and lower, slowly approaching Portugal, and just a few minutes after crossing the border into Portugal, we're then already landing at Porto. So you can clearly see there are different layers of clouds today, some were higher, some were lower, so the views were always changing. Sometimes we were in the clouds, sometimes we were above them or below them. That was quite interesting to see. So now we're much lower than in the last shot, but we are now above the clouds again, and now we're approaching Porto, and we can see how low the clouds were actually here in Porto. And now we can also take a look at the landing, of course, again with the original sound. So here we are in Porto, landed with a delay of around 1 hour. We catched up a little bit with our delay, but we were still delayed around 1 hour. But now we made it safely to Porto. Here we can take a look at the interior of our plane today. And now we're leaving the plane, heading into the airport. And in the airport we will continue in the second to next video. In the next video we will take a look at the ship that we will be traveling on in the next videos. And in the second to next video we will continue here in the airport. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Here you can see the name of the song and when the next one will be uploaded. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video then.